So, will you know when the great war that brings Moshiach is about to begin? Will you know? Will you see it coming? You should. Why do I say that? Well, let's go. Well, I was going to start in Zechariah 9, but that's fine. That's fine. I will go to 2 Thessalonians to start off with, or 1 Thessalonians 5. Verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of Jehovah's wrath, not the day of the Lord, this is the day it's speaking of in Zechariah 9, Zechariah 14, Joel 3, Joel 2, Isaiah 60, Isaiah 66, Ezekiel 38, Ezekiel 39. It's all in the prophets. You know perfectly well that the day of Jehovah's wrath so comes as a thief in the night. Should it come as a thief in the night to you? The answer is no. You should see it coming. Why? Paul gives the answer. For when they shall say peace and safety. Have they been saying peace and safety for just a few months ago? Yes, they have. And even lighting Hanukkah candles, Arabs and Israelis together for the first time, getting together in a certain brotherhood for a certain, since it's the first time since Isaac or Yitzhak and Ishmael got together to bury their dad, their father Abraham. When they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Now this is where Christians stop, because they don't want to hear the rest. In fact, many of them don't even want to hear this, what I just read. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, that the day should overtake you as a thief. There's no reason why that day should overtake you as a thief in the night. So, if it overtakes you as a thief in the night, if it catches you unawares, then you are not the children of the day, you are the children of the night. He goes on to say this. He says, you are all children of the light, and the children of the day. You are not the children of the night, nor of darkness. So if it takes you as a thief in the night, you are a child of darkness. This is much like Matthew 25. Watch this. The five wise and 5 foolish virgins. And then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were 5, and 5 were foolish. I have mentioned in the past. It appears to me like the Jews are going to be the wise and the Christians are going to be the foolish. I said it appears to me. Verse 3, and the foolish took their lamps, and they took no oil with them. And when the wise took oil in their vessels, in their lamps, and while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept, all of them. And at midnight, or in the midst. I'm not sure that it really means midnight. It can mean midday. And it can also mean midnight. In the middle, in the midst, is what it means. There was a cry made. What was the cry? Behold, the bridegroom comes, go you out to meet him. And so all the virgins rose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said to the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered and saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in and with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. And afterwards came also the others, saying, Master, Master, open to us. But he said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man comes. So, who are the ones that are going to be caught unawares? I tell you, it's going to be the Christian world, and of course the Muslim world too. The rapture, the rapture narrative has really blinded the eyes of the Christians dramatically. Make sure my phone is turned off so I don't get interrupted. So, what then are we to look for? Everybody says we're to look for the Gog and Magog war. Well, that's partially correct. You should, in fact. But before I begin with that, what I want to do is remind everyone what is written in Joel 2, or Joel 2, Joel 3, I'm sorry. The day and time to return the captivity of Yehuda and Jerusalem. Now, does that say the whole house of Israel? No, it does not. Ezekiel 39 says the whole house of Israel. Watch this. Have mercy upon the whole house of Israel. All right? So, in the day and time, return the captivity, or the captives of Yehuda and Jerusalem. Well, there are still many, many Jews that are still scattered around the world, and there's still the lost Israel that is scattered around the world. Now that has yet to be addressed too. It says, I will collect the Goi and bring them down into the valley of judgment, Jehovah judges, and will judge them for my people, for my heritage, Israel. Oh. Do you see what's going on here? Whom they have scattered among the Gentiles and parted my land. So this is his heritage. Israel has not been gathered yet, but their captives of Judah and Jerusalem have. You see. They have cast lots for my people, and given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, and that they might drink. Tyre and Zidon. That would be today Lebanon. And all the coast of Peleshet. That would be Gaza. What are you going to do about it? You two? Will you get revenge? Are you going to lob thousands of rockets into Yehuda and Jerusalem? If you do, he's going to deal adequately with you. Lebanon and Gaza, swiftly and speedily, he's going to return your recompense upon your own head. Why? Because it was you. It was you who took Jehovah's gold and silver and carried into your temples his pleasant things. The children also of Yehuda and Jerusalem have you sold to the Greeks, that you might remove them far from their border. It was you. You caused the Romans and the Greeks to do this. You Lebanese. You Gazans. I will raise them up from the place where you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Yehuda. Now, of course, folks, the government of Israel, it should be called the government of Yehuda, does not have the fortitude to do such a thing. They are afraid of the tumult in the Great Sea, the UN, the EU, Turkey, and Russia. They will not do it. It's going to require Yehoshua the Moshiach to do it. And they will proceed to sell them to the Sabians, to a people afar off, because Jehovah has spoken it. Now it says, dispossess. It says the same thing in Zechariah 9. It's talking about how he's going to dispossess them, which means deport them. So we know to the land of the Sabians, that would be Yemen and further south. Further south, of course, would be Africa. To people far away, Jehovah has spoken. It's going to happen, and there's nothing the world is going to do about it, but they will try. Now proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, and let all the men of war draw near, and let them come up. Why? Because Judah has just dispossessed Tyre, Zidon, and Peleshet, Gaza. You can cross-reference this with Zechariah 9. Proclaim this among the Gentiles, prepare a war, wake the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves, come all you, Goey, and gather yourselves together round about there. Jehovah, bring your mighty ones too. Let's have a war. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. And let the fats overflow, for their wickedness, their adversity, their Satan is great. Multitudes and multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Jehovah, as Paul spoke about. See, you should know. You should be aware. You should know it's about to happen when it happens. Why? Because you are not the children of the night. You are children of the day. If this catches you unawares, then you are children of the night. You are of the 5 foolish virgins. Is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, How dark? We're going to find out just how dark. To grow black. Both the sun and the moon. And the stars shall withdraw their shining. And Jehovah, not the Lord. There's no such thing as the Lord. It's Jehovah. Shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. And the heavens and the earth shall shake. We read about this in the 6th seal. Jehovah will be the hope, the refuge, the shelter of his people, and the strength of the church. Right? Wrong! Will be the strength of the children of Israel. Now, in those days Egypt shall be desolate, Edom shall be a desolate wilderness because of the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. And as I have pointed out, if this is going to happen to Egypt and Edom, what do you think is going to happen in Europe and Russia and Turkey? Because they shed the Jews' innocent blood in their lands. Well, if Egypt is going to be a desolation and Edom is going to be a desolate wilderness, so then shall all of Europe, all of Russia, Turkey, Iran, any nation that has shed innocent Jewish blood. So, the Gog and Magog war. Well, before we get started, I was looking at Israel, or I should say News Now. Now, News Now is a very, very good news source because it collects news from all different places around the world. And some of these are obviously incorrect and evil, and some of them are, on point, quick, ahead of mainstream media. You have to be able to sort out the difference. And what I saw here was this link: Erdogan sending international force to protect Palestinians' viable idea. Now, I didn't see this one first. I saw this Jerusalem Post article first. I was going to start talking about it as soon as I saw this Jerusalem Post article, but I wanted to wait because I knew that there would be other articles coming forth and going into greater detail. Well, this one right here in Jerusalem Post, this is actually by Reuters. It was just Jerusalem Post posting what Reuters posted, which was a whole lot of nothing. Turkey, Russia discuss Israel clashes and call. Turkish presidency, Erdogan and Putin call for work to be done on sending international peacekeepers, actually warmongers, not peacekeepers, but warmongers, to the region to help safeguard Israel. A proposal Turkey has, not to safeguard it, to safeguard the people of Peleshet. Really? We just read in Yoel 3 that let's see here. What have you to do with me, Tyre and Zidon, and the coastlands of Pelesheth? They say Palestine in King James, but Pelesheth. So Jehovah is going to swiftly repay the Pelesheth for what they're doing in Israel right now. But we have them wanting to safeguard the Pelesheth. We've got a problem here, don't we? And who is discussing this? Turkey and Russia, the Gog and Magog alliance. Turkish President Erdogan and Russia's Vladimir Putin discussed in a phone call tensions in Gaza and Jerusalem. Turkey's presidency said on Wednesday as Ankara seeks international action against Israel. All right, but that's a whole lot of nothing. So I'm going to, Reuters didn't do their job. Let's see what this particular article says. Erdogan sending international force to protect Palestinians, a viable idea. Turkey's President Erdogan told his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin the international community needs to teach a deterrent lesson to Israel. Well, these two are obviously children of the night, because they have never bothered to read either Joel 3 or 1 Thessalonians 5, or, for that matter, Matthew 25. Turkish President Erdogan and Russia's Vladimir Putin have discussed in a phone call tensions in Gaza and occupied by the Arabs, Jerusalem. This is how it should read. Turkey's presidency said as Ankara seeks international action against Israel. Israel has carried out hundreds of airstrikes in Gaza in Wednesday morning, killing at least 48 people, including women and children. No word on what the Pelesheth did to Israel. The thousands of rockets it shot into Israel and killing of Israelis. No, we're not going to talk about that. Now, we've got to keep this one-sided, right? Hamas and other Pelesheth resistance groups retaliated by firing rockets toward Israel. No, that's not what happened. The Pelesheth, Hamas, and Islamic Jihad started firing first. Erdogan said, showing that Turkey and Russia share same stance on developments in that obnoxious, foul, blasphemous word, and I'll call it Pelesheth, will send an important message. He's going to try to lure Vladimir Putin to see things his way concerning Israel. Well, those of you who know history, the history of Christians, you already know that the Christians would love to squash the Jews and wipe them off the face of the earth so that none lives ever again. As I pointed out in so many of my videos, Erdogan told Putin the international community needed to teach a deterrent lesson to Israel, adding that Ankara was working to mobilize this reaction, according to a statement from his office. Erdogan said nations should also discuss the idea of sending an international protection force to the region in order to protect Palestinian civilians. The UN Security Council shall get involved, give clear messages to Israel to halt attacks before the crisis grows further, Erdogan added. Erdogan, a vocal advocate of the Pelesheth cause, has stepped up diplomacy, speaking to a range of regional leaders and condemning Israel's terror, as they say. Turkey additionally has also withdrawn an invitation for Israel's Energy Minister Yuval Steinitz to attend the Anatolia Diplomacy Forum in the southern coastal city in June 18 through 20. And of course they have their narrative. Putin calls for de-escalation. Putin urges Israel and the Palestinians, or the Pelesheth, to halt fighting. That proves that Putin is on the wrong side. He needs to tell the Pelesheth to stop attacking Israel. And the United States did the same thing as Vladimir Putin did. Urge for calm in the region. not telling the terrorists to stop attacking Israel. You see. At least 48 Pelisheth have been killed and 304 others injured in the Israeli attacks in the Gaza amid tension across the Pelisheth non-territories after Israel police stormed a flashpoint. They say Al-Aqsa Mosque, it would be the holy place, in East Jerusalem, and the claim is they assaulted worshippers. 6 Israelis have also been killed and 45 others injured in Pelisheth rocket fire. Alright, so you can see what's going on now, can't you? Now let me ask you a question. Do you know what should happen next? If you don't, you might be walking in a gray area. You might be standing between darkness and light. You should know what's about to happen next, or what could happen next. What do I mean by this? Well, let's go then to Zechariah 9. And we'll get Strong's Concordance up here. So we see in Zechariah 9, this is when the Moshiach comes. So what triggers it? Well, we have timelines here, believe it or not. This occurs when the burden of the word of Jehovah is in the land of Hadrach. And as I have pointed out, the Idlib province in Syria, where this big war between Turkish-backed factions and Russian-backed factions are fighting against each other. But you see, Erdogan, he wants to have some sort of, what do you call that, solidarity with Russia, and he believes that attacking Israel will do the job. That's going to help the matter. And also Damascus will be the resting place. It's going to be the resting place of the burden of the word of Jehovah. That's terrible things that are going to happen to Hadrach and Damascus. And this is when the eyes of men, specifically the tribes of Israel, shall be toward Jehovah. That's right, when the eyes of man, when the eyes of mankind, specifically the scepter. Now, the scepter is Judah. Now, Arleth knows this because he's either Jewish or has some Jewish influence. He has a Hebrew name. Arleth means lion. The eyes of mankind, specifically the scepter, the rod, staff, scepter tribe of Israel, is very likely Judah. Jehovah. Does that mean that the one who the scepter belongs to is going to come at that time? We'll continue reading, and we can draw a conclusion, I do believe. Hema, the boundary, Tyre and Zidon, much abundance of wisdom. And Tyre even built herself a stronghold, heaped up silver as the dust and fine gold as the mire of the streets. In those days they did. But Adonai is going to take possession of Lebanon, Tyre. He's going to dispossess it. The word is Yarash. Okay? He's going to take possession of it and dispossess the people that are there. Exactly as is written in Joel 3. And he will smite the militaries in the Yam. Do you understand what that means? What is the military in the Yam? That would be the military in the Mediterranean Sea. Is it Tyre's military? We'll hold our thought and continue, and we want to find out whose military it will be. To be devoured, so the military that is in the sea will be devoured by fire. Have we seen this before? Yes, we have. It's in Ezekiel 39. Please, folks, mark these things down carefully. See, you can use the Israeli Bible if you speak Hebrew, or if you're going to go King James Version, you absolutely, positively must use Strong's Concordance, or you will be deceived. You will not know the truth unless you use Strong's Concordance in the English Bibles. So let's read this again. Jehovah will dispossess Tyre, smite the armies of the Mediterranean Sea, the Yam, okay? The Western Sea. Smite the armies of the Western Sea. And that army will be devoured with fire. Ashkelon will see it and fear. Gaza shall see it and be very sorry. Now, Ashkelon, people in Israel, Israelis are living there today. But this is current and forward thinking, or current and prophecy. And shall be very sorrowful. Ekron shall be ashamed. What it means is the people of Pelesheth. And it says the rulers of Gaza are going to perish. They're going to die. Ashkelon will remain. See, King James says shall not be inhabited. That's not what it says. It says Ashkelon will remain. Remain. You see? Or it will be occupied. All right. That's why you have to be very, very careful with your studying. A mamzer to dwell in Ashdod. And he will cut down the arrogancy of the Pelesheth. All right. So as we can see, Joel 3 and Zechariah 9 is the same. One is more explicit about certain things than the other, and the other is more explicit about certain things than the former, than the other scripture. And then what he says, he's going to do this. He says he's going to remove the blood, that is, the blood libels, from out of the mouth of the Pelesheth, and his abominations from between his teeth. And those that remained in Gaza, in Ekron, in Ashkelon, in Lebanon will be those who Elohim appoints. You can live there now. You see, the aloof, the captain in Yehuda. Well, who is the captain in Yehuda? It is, wait for it, folks. Wait for it. A tame, docile, gentle lamb, the Lamb of Yehuda. So this is a time when the Lamb is going to come. We saw in Yoel 3 that the sun is going to turn dark and the moon is going to turn dark, and Jehovah is going to be the protection of his people. This means this is the time. Right here is the time of the coming of the Moshiach. And look what we have here. We've got backup. Rejoice, O greatly, Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Your king comes to you. He is just. He has Yashah, deliverance, salvation, lowly and riding upon a donkey, and upon the coal of the foal of the donkey. And I will cut off the chariot or the millstone. Remove the millstone from Ephraim, Samaria. What is that millstone? The Peleshet, or I should say, the Jordanians, the Moab and Ammon, because the Peleshet is in Gaza. And he's going to remove the battle chariot horses, the weapons of war, missiles and everything from Jerusalem. And the battle bow shall be cut off. And who is he? Moshiach is going to speak. He's peace unto the heathen. And his dominion shall be from the sea to sea, from the river even to the ends of the earth. Now we understand, if you read Revelation, is either 21 or 22, that the Mediterranean Sea will be pushed out, pushed toward the west. There will be dry land where the Mediterranean Sea, and on that land will be Eretz Israel. That's right, Eretz Israel. The land of Israel is going to be 15 or 12 to 1500 miles foursquare as a whole city of Jerusalem. And however much land or however much water in the Mediterranean Sea has to be pushed away, there's going to be enough land for all Israel to gather in and live in Eretz Israel. So thou shalt eat from sea to sea, from the river to the ends of the earth. Now, what happens next? Return! The return of Israel happens next. Return! Shub! Bitzaroni! You prisoners! Even this today I declare that I will give to you double. Double what was promised to Abraham Yitzhak, and Yaakov. He's going to give double Eretz Israel. Double? Did he stutter? He's going to double it. Twice as much. No, he did not stutter. He's going to give twice as much as what he promised to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And there is nothing that the Gentiles will be able to do about it. He's going to march Yehuda and fill the bow with Ephraim. This is clearly speaking about bringing all Israel back. Not just Yehuda and Jerusalem anymore, but all 12 tribes of Israel. And raised up your sons, O Zion, against your sons, O Greece. And who are the sons of Greece? That would be all of the sons of Japheth. Jehovah will be seen. Yes, he will. He will be seen over them. And his arrow will go forth like lightning. And Jehovah, or Adonai Jehovah, will blow the trumpet. During the storm of Yemen. During the storm of Yemen. The storm of Yemen has been going on for the last 6 years, folks, in my opinion. So, my guess today is we're about to see Lebanon participate in this war that's taking place between Peleshet and Israel, or the Jews, Yehuda. And if it does, you can expect something else to happen in response. Am I saying it's going to? No, I'm not. I'm just saying, just watch. Just watch, and if it does, if Zechariah 9 happens in this particular war, then you know that the war between the sons of Greece and the sons of Zion is going to take place. And this is the great war between the sons of Greece and the sons of Zion. Son of man, prophesy against Gog, and thus saith Adonai Jehovah, I am against you, Gog, or George, Rosh, prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will return and lead on, go up from the north part. So Gog and Magog are going to come from the north parts. Now, if you want to find out who the participants in the Gog-Magog war, it is right here in Ezekiel 38. The participants are Meshech, Tubal, Gog-Magog, Iran, Cush, Libya, Gomer. As I pointed out almost a month ago, Gomer is the entirety of Europe. Gomer. The sons of Gomer are Ashkenaz, which are the German peoples. The Rifith, which are the Gauls. That would be the Celts, the Gauls. They are in France, part of Spain, and Great Britain, and there are Germanic tribes in Great Britain too. That's much of, and of course the Gauls are also up in the North Country in Sweden and Norway and, and Ukraine. Those were the ancient Galatians that Paul was preaching to, warning them that they were already turning away to a false Messiah in the book of Galatians. If he was warning them that they were already turning away from the truth, how far do you think they have turned away now? And these Galatians call themselves Christians, going to fight against the Moshiach. Gomer, that's Europe. Those are the Europeans, including much of Russia. But Gog and Magog and Meshach and Tubal, also Russia, and also House of Togarmah would be Armenia, Turkey, etc. But it says here this. It says they are in the latter days you will come into the land, which is in the last days. In the after part. Kind of like what Yoel 2 says in the after part. The sun will turn into darkness and the moon into blood. Oh, and it says in after part, your sons and your daughters will dream dreams, prophesy, and all of this. Talking to Yoel in Yoel 2. So in the after part, you will come into the land which is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people. So this is after all the gathering of Israel, all of them. So we have Judah and Jerusalem. Then we have the war with Tyre, Zidon, and the people of Pelesheth, and Tyre, Zidon, and the people of Pelesheth. That means Lebanon, Gaza, and those that are occupying East Jerusalem, Arabs that are occupying East Jerusalem, are going to be dispossessed, are going to be cast out. And as a result, a war is going to take place between Russia, Turkey, and Europe, the sons of Greece, versus the sons of Zion. But all Israel will be brought back right after the Lebanon dispossession occurs. All of them. There won't be enough room. It is written that it won't be enough room. And that is the reason why land must be moved out in a miraculous event into the Mediterranean Sea. They're going to be gathered together against the mountains of Israel that used to be laid waste. Come out of the nations. The people of Israel will come out of the nations, come out of the Gentiles, and they will dwell safely, all of them. You shall ascend and come like a storm, and you shall be like a cloud and cover the land. With what? Missiles? Jetliners? Jet planes? Jet fighters? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to cover the land with missiles and jets, all your bands and many people with you. Thus saith Adonai Yehovah, it shall come to pass at that time that things will come up in your mind, and you shall think an evil thought, and you shall say, I will go up to the unwalled land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, neither having bars nor gates, to take a spoil, to take a prey, and to turn your hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and against those people that are gathered up out of the nations. Now it says that Sheba and Dedan, that would be the people of Saudi Arabia, and the merchants of Tarshish, that would be the Western Hemisphere, are going to say, because it says with all the young lions of the Western, the young lions of Tarshish, of the the capitalists of Tarshish, that would be the Western Hemisphere, because Tarshish was a seaport in Portugal and Spain on the Atlantic side of the Strait of Gibraltar. But all the young lions, all the young nations will say, are you come to take a spoil? Have you come to take a great company and take away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods and take away a great spoil? But at this time, all of Israel will be removed from Tarshish, will be removed from all the lands. And it says, so the man prophesied, saying to Gog, thus saith Adonai Yehovah, in that day when my people dwell safely, shall you not know it? And you will come out of your place in the north parts, you and many people with you, and all of them riding upon Sus, which can be either horses, chariots, or winged vehicles. As you can just use Strong's Concordance, please, folks, for once, and you'll see it. A great company, a mighty army, and you will come up against my people, not of Judah, but of Israel, as a cloud to cover the land, and it shall be in the after part. In the after part. You see where it says after part? I want to do a stop right here for just a second and go to Yoel 2. Oh. In the after part. In the after part, Ichar, the following part. I will pour out my spirit upon the flesh. Your sons, your daughters will prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And upon your servants and upon the handmaids in those days, that's the after part, will I pour out my spirit. Watch this. Watch this. It shall be in the after part. That day I will bring you against my land, so that the Gentiles, so that the Goy may know me. And sanctified Gog before their eyes. Thus saith Adonai Yehovah, I spoke in ancient times, in the former times, by my servants the prophets of Israel. But you see, the Christians today, they do not believe in the Old Testament, as they say. The words of the prophets mean nothing to them. So they are the children of darkness. Because if it was prophesied to happen in the last days, that means the words of the prophets do indeed matter. Which prophesied in those days many, it says a year, there's going to be a year that I will bring, that I would come. Okay, so which was prophesied, there's going to be a specific year that he would come. It does not say that he would, see, that word doesn't exist here. So you have to, like I said, please use Strong's Concordance when you read the English Bible. It would be a particular year. Where else did he say this? Watch this. Let me show you something, folks. Acceptable. Watch this here. Acceptable. Year. Is it year? Look what we have here, folks. Isaiah 61, verse 2. I love this. You see why you have to study carefully, folks? To proclaim the acceptable year of Jehovah and the day of vengeance for our Elohim, come to comfort all that mourn. Let's go to Strong's Concordance. to proclaim the acceptable year. Shoneh. A year. The acceptable one. That one. What is that acceptable year of Jehovah and the day of vengeance from Elohim to comfort the mourning Jews? This is the day. Which prophesied in those days the acceptable year that I would bring you against them. And it shall come to, or I would go in. I'm sorry. The acceptable year that I would come. Which prophet did he speak of this? Isaiah 61 verse 2. And at that time, in that day, when Gog shall come up against the land of Israel, says Adonai Yehovah, that my fury will come up in my face. For in the jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great quaking in the land of Israel. Joel 3. Revelation 6, is it? Oh, hold on. I messed up. Is it Revelation 6? Let's find out. Yes, it is Revelation 6. Let's get strong concordance. And I beheld when he opened up the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of the sky fell upon the earth, even as the fig tree casts her untimely figs. Joel 2 talks about this. Joel 3 talks about this. This begins the acceptable year of Jehovah to comfort all Israel who had been mourning all these years, the last 2 millennia. When she is shaken with a mighty wind, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and coastland. So the coastlands, look at this. So the word is Nasos, and it says island, was moved out of their place. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman. So this is happening during the Gog-Magog war. The sixth seal is opened during the Gog-Magog war. Hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and says, to the mountains, rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne. That's Jehovah, because that's the acceptable year that he comes. It is written in Ezekiel 38, and from the wrath of the captain, the aloof, the lamb, as is written in Zechariah 9, right here, I believe, I missed it, where it says governor. This is governor? Well, I don't want to spend too much time. I want to get back here. Fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? So what is going to happen to trigger the great day of wrath? Well, it's going to be Gaza, then Lebanon, then Moshiach and Jehovah. Now, we read that this is going to come, in other words, bang, 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 just like that. But somewhere in that time is going to be bringing back all the people of Israel. All of them. What rapture? We'll have raising of the dead on the day the trumpet sounds. We see in Zechariah 9 that the trumpet is going to sound. You see? And we see that the Gog and Magog war is going to commence. And it says right here, for the jealousy and the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel, so that the fishes of the sea, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the field, and all the creeping things that creep upon the earth, and all man that is on the face of the earth shall shake at my presence. And mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And I will call for a sword against them. Who is going to bring the sword against Gog and Magog? Well, we read in Joel 3, bring your mighty ones down, Jehovah. Who are his mighty ones? Moshiach and the messengers. The angels, as they say in Greek or in English. Now let's go to Ezekiel 39 and let's see what's going to happen to the coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea. Gog and Magog. I will cause you to return and lead you on and cause you to come up from the north parts, from the north extreme, and bring you upon the mountains of Israel, and I will smite the bow out of your left hand and cause your arrows to fall out of your right hand, which means you are going to suffer malfunction, equipment malfunction. You will fall upon the mountains of Israel, you and all your bands with you, and your people that are with you, and I will give you unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. The carcass. Oh. What happened? All right. Let's try this. We'll go to Luke 17:37 first. They asked, "Where, Master, where?" He said, "Where the corpses are, that's where the buzzards are going to be gathered, or where the eagles are going to be gathered." You see? We'll dig a little deeper. We'll go to 30 Strong's Concordance. Go to 36. 36. Remember Lot's wife. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it. This is the time of the gathering of all Israel. And whosoever shall lose, in other words, if you're going to go and try to save your possessions in that day, you're going to lose them and you're going to lose your life too. I tell you, in that night there shall be two men, one in bed, and the other one shall be taken, and the other one left. Two women will be grinding together, one shall be taken, and the other left. Two men shall be in the field, and one shall be taken, and the other left. This is how scattered the people of Israel are among the Gentiles today. And they answered and said unto him, Where are they going to be taken? Raptured into heaven. That's what the Gentiles say. But the Gentiles, the Christians, they are wrong. They asked, Where, Master? And he said unto them, where the body is, or the carcass is, that's where the eagles, the buzzards, the birds of prey, the vultures are going to be gathered together. Where are the vultures going to be gathered together? Verse 5, and you shall fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it. So he told them, basically, read the book of the prophets, read Ezekiel 39, people of Israel are going to be gathered back into the land of Israel. It's going to be very close to the same time. You won't need to know the exactness. All you need to know, folks, is the general proximity of time. It's going to be around this time. So when you see the leader of Turkey trying to coax Russia and the so-called international community to teach Israel a lesson even before Moshiach comes, what do you think is going to happen afterward? And the people of Tarshish are going to say, what do you think you're doing? Or the young lions, the merchants of Tarshish, are going to say that. Now, I will set fire to Magog and those that dwell carelessly in the coastlands, the coastal regions. And as I pointed out, that would be, we go to, well, that would be the Mediterranean Sea. We'll go to Isaiah 60, and we'll see, arise and shine, for thy light is come, the glory of Jehovah is risen upon you, Zion. Darkness covers the land, and gross darkness the people. That would be the Gentiles. But Jehovah will rise on you, and his glory shall be seen upon you. And the Gentiles will come to your light. Why? Because there will be no light in their lands. Because their lands have been set on fire, and the smoke has blocked out the light. And the kings to the brightness of your rising, look around you and see. They gather themselves together. Who gathers themselves together? All Israel does. They shall come to you. Your sons shall come from far, far away, and your daughters will be nursed at your side. You will see, and you will flow together. Your heart shall be in awe. Why is the land of Israel's heart going to be in awe? And the land will also be enlarged, to grow wide. Rachab. How? Well, you push the land all the way into the Mediterranean Sea for as far as necessary to make room for all these people that are coming to the Holy Land. The land will be enlarged because the murmuring of the sea are going to be overthrown, overturned, overthrown. That's Israel's enemies in the Mediterranean Sea. Their land will be enlarged. Enlarged. We'll go to Revelation, I believe it's 21. The land will be enlarged. Please never forget this, folks. A new heaven and a new Eretz. The new Jerusalem comes down from out of the sky. It had, where is this? I may have to go to 3. There it is right here. He carried me away, verse 10, into the Spirit to a great high mountain and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of the sky from Elohim, having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto the stone most precious, even a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall high and great, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 messengers, and the names are written on were the names of not the 12 tribes of the church, but the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. On the east 3 gates, the north 3 gates, and the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates, and the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb, the captain. And he talked with me, and had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the walls thereof. And the city lies foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed of 12,000 furlongs. 12,000 furlongs. What is a furlong? It laid foursquare and 12,000 furlongs. So let's do the math here. What is a furlong? Okay. Oh, no wonder I misspelled it. Furlong is an eighth of a mile. All right. Was it 12,000? Eighths of a mile. How many furlongs was it to make a mile? 8 furlongs. Okay, so let's get the calculator out. And I'm not a mathematician here, so 12,000 furlongs divided by 8. I hope divided by 8 equals, oh, it is 1,500. 1,500 miles. So, let's try something here. 1,500 miles. What? Texas. Let's try that. Miles. Okay. All right. The width of Texas is 773 miles. The length is 801 miles. So that's about 4 times the size of Texas. Yes, that's four times the size of Texas. That's right. 4 times the size of Texas, folks. Now, you see, as I have pointed out, the prophets and the Gospels and Johannan's revelation and even the words of Paul agree with the prophets. You see, it says, you, the land, will be in awe because you will be enlarged. You will grow wide. Grow wide or large. So you see, when Noah passed out the blessings to Shem and Japheth, let me show you something. So Genesis 6, I believe it is. Yes. Genesis 6. What just happened here? Folks, I'm on a roll today, so please pay attention to this because I might not ever be able to do this well again. says 7. Exiting the ark. Covenant and the rainbow. Noah's sons. Now, when Canaan received his curse, Shem and Japheth received a blessing. Now, the sons of Japheth would be the European peoples, Russians, the current day Turks, which are not really Turks. They are, and the Armenians, etc., and much of the United States. Now, I did not say all of the United States, much of the United States. And he said, blessed be Jehovah, Elohim of Shem. He did not say Jehovah Elohim of Japheth. Did he? No. And Canaan will be his servant. Elohim will enlarge Japheth in the first part. But as we saw in the after part, he's going to enlarge Israel. He's going to enlarge Eretz Israel. And that is why in the after part, Japheth, the sons of Japheth, which would be Greece, Gog and Magog and all them, they're going to be dwelling in the tents of Shem. So the enlargement of Japheth comes first, and then the enlargement of Shem comes second. Now you know. Now you know. And since the sons of Japheth persecuted the sons of Shem, the sons of Shem are going to be nearly destroyed. The rest of them are going to have to be servants of Israel, as we read in Isaiah 60. But, hold on. All right, Isaiah 60. Now it says, down here, that Israel will be in the coastlands waiting for him, and the ships of Tarshish, they will be first to bring your sons from afar, their gold and silver, to the name, to the Shem, Jehovah. You know that name that the Christians hate so much? Shem Hashmoreth? Yes, that one. That I pointed out in just a video or two ago. That the Christians absolutely abhor that name. I proved it to you. Because they worship Satan, Elohim, and to the Kadosh of Israel, to beautify and to glorify. Now the sons of the strangers shall build up your walls, and their kings shall be your ministers. Because in my wrath I smote you, but in favor have I had mercy upon you. Your gates will be continually opened, and shall not be shut day or night, that men may bring you the wealth of the Gentiles, the Goi, and that their kings may be brought to justice, as is written in the last part of Isaiah 24. Their kings are going to be put in prison for many days, and then afterwards they shall be put on trial, or visited, as they say. For any Goi and kingdom that does not serve you will perish. Yes, those nations shall be utterly wasted. All right? I hear verse 14, the sons of them that afflicted you will come bowing down to you. The sons that afflicted Israel, they worship at the synagogue of Satan, Jesus. And those that despise you will bow themselves down at the soles of your feet. You see, the Gentile church in Philadelphia refused to use the name Jesus or Jesus. They recognize it as Yehoshua. And those others that were around them, rejecting the name Yehoshua and using the name Zeus and Jesus, those were the ones who were worshiping at the synagogue of Satan, as it's written in Revelation 3. And because of that, that particular church congregation in Philadelphia will be standing with the people of Israel when the rest of the Gentiles are going to have to bow themselves at the sole of Israel's feet. And they will call that great city, the city of Jehovah, Zion of the Holy One of Israel. You have been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through you. Now I will make you an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Jerusalem, that great city, the great city to come, 1,500 miles wide, 4 times the size of Texas. You will suck the milk of the Gentiles, and you will suck the breast of kings, and you shall know Jehovah is your Savior and your redeeming kinsman. He is the mighty one of the church, of Jacob. Violence shall no more be heard in your land ever again, neither wasting nor destruction within your borders, but you shall call your walls Yeshua, and your gates will be called Tehillah. The sun shall no more be your light by day, neither for brightness. In other words, you won't be dependent on the sun for light. But Jehovah will be your everlasting light, and your Elohim your glory. Your figurative sun will no more go down, neither shall your figurative moon withdraw itself any longer, because Jehovah will be your everlasting light, and the days of your mourning, O Israel, shall come to a final end forever and ever and ever. Your people will all be righteous. That's right. I know there's a lot of people have had a big problem with me saying all Israel shall be saved. Well, your people shall all be righteous. How about that, non-believer? They will inherit the land forever. They are the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, so that I might be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. Jehovah will make it happen quickly. Now, are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? I'm ready to abandon everything I have here. For this, for that. Absolutely. I'm ready to take whatever, in spite of my fear of heights, I'm willing to take whatever means of transportation it takes to get me there when that time occurs. We should not be confused. What's going to happen? Is it pre-tribulation, mid-tribulation, opposed to? My goodness, folks, if you're doing that, then you are in darkness. Because as I have pointed out to you, it's between the 2 tribulations. It's between the 2 tribulations. Oh, you think there's one? It's between the 2 tribulations, folks. And you'll find it in Matthew 24. This is Israel's tribulation, the Jews' tribulation, and this is the Gentiles' tribulation. Oh, I should say, yes, this is the Gentiles' tribulation. It better be seen in Luke 21. This is Israel's tribulation. This is the Gentiles' tribulation. Tribulation upon this people, upon the land, and wrath upon this people Israel, until the time of the Gentiles comes to an end, and then comes tribulation upon the Gentiles. With the sign and the sun and the moon and the stars, as we just read. This is not hard, folks. This is not difficult. When this tribulation begins, it is time for all Israel to come home, because all the elect will be gathered, as is written right here in the elect. Israel is elect for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's sake. The great sound of a trumpet shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the sky into the other. And there you have it. This is not hard, folks. This is easy. This is easy if you are the children of the light. It is confusing if you are the children of darkness.